In this video, we're going to take a look at using the blending options in Photoshop to blend together three individual photographs into one. What I have here is a shot that I took from Rio Lancaster Hotel overlooking Copacabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro. These are long exposure shots. I used a 30-second shutter speed on a Canon 6D Mark II using a 17 to 40 millimeter wide-angle lens, and I took three individual shots. And my goal with this image is to add more of that light streaking that you see down there on the road. We see here, it's really bright where the traffic's coming towards me, but the red light isn't as much. So I want to fill this in, kind of get in the middle there where cars were turning. And over a couple shots, I have a little bit more of that red light. Now you can see I haven't really changed the settings much. The big thing that I did was I'm using a lens profile, and I switched to Adobe Vivid for the color profile. We can see here all three images are essentially the same, except for the light on the streets. So the first thing we'll do is select all three images. And once they're selected, we'll go up to Photo, and then we're going to go to Edit In. And finally, we're going to go to Open as Layers in Photoshop. We just need to give this a minute to load up. Photoshop will take a minute, and the more images that you're trying to stack together, the longer it's going to take to load. So you just have to be a little bit patient with it. You can see here the layers are starting to load. It's the first one. Now we have another layer. And finally our third layer. The first thing we need to do in Photoshop is we need to line these layers up. If I turn off the layers, I'm not sure if you can see in the video or not. I'm just going to turn that bottom layer off there. But if we look at the layers, they don't quite line up. Like they're off by a millimeter or two. It's very, very minute, but if you're looking at it on the computer, you can definitely see they're not quite lined up. So to fix that, we're just going to show all of the layers, and then we're going to need to select the bottom one up to the top one. Then we're going to go to Edit, Auto Align Layers, and we're going to use the auto and click OK. And Photoshop's really good at this. It's going to line up the images nicely. You can see there's a little bit of blank space on either side of the photo, but that's okay. We're going to crop that out in the end. And when I hide the layers, you can see they line up. So now we're going to blend the top layer. To do that, we go to this blending box here. You can see there's many, many options. If we go up to normal, that's just a normal look of the layer, but we're going to go to light. What lighten does is it transfers only the light parts of the image onto the background. You see if I turn that on, it just shows a little bit more light, but there's still not enough red light. So now if I turn on the middle layer, there's quite a bit of white light. So what we'll do is we'll click on this layer, and again we'll go to lighten in the blending box. So that's given us all of the red light from all three photos, all of the white light from all three photos, but there's too much white light. So I'm just going to go over here to the eraser. I have the middle layer selected, and I'm just going to erase the white light from the road. You'll notice it doesn't affect any of the dark parts of the image. I really erase through here. I'm going to be careful not to get any of that red, because the red is really what I was after. I'm going to take a look here, and maybe we can try this layer as well, see how that looks. I guess it's the taste. I prefer it like this with more light. So I'm going to leave it like this. That's fine. So now I'm just going to merge these layers together. So I select them all and right click. I'm going to go to Merge Layers. So now all three images are combined into one. And we're going to crop out those blank spots on the outside. I'm just using the original aspect ratio, and I close the crop tool down a little bit. Oops, hit the arrow key there. I think that looks just about right, and we'll click the checkbox. And there you go, we've cropped the image out. We have all of the light sources merged together and blended nicely. I'm just going to use my touch-up tool here. Get rid of little bits of star that you can see in the sky. And that's that. We'll close Photoshop and put it back to Lightroom. So now in Lightroom you can see I have a edit.tif or TIFF file, and I'm free to make any edits that I want to make. So I'm going to bring the highlights down just a little bit. Again, at this point it's just to taste. And I'm going to make the blacks a little blacker. Bring the whites down and see what happens. The whites don't really seem to affect it very much, but we'll bring them down just a little bit because now there is a lot of light photo. We're going to play with the shadows. So you see, as I drop the shadows, the beach kind of disappears there where the water is. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that looks good. And I'm just going to bring the exposure down a little bit. It was a very dark night, and these are your only light sources on the beach, so I want that to reflect, and I can still see the lights pretty good on the road. Now we're going to increase the vibrance a little bit. And I'm going to reduce the saturation just a little bit. Now if you like contrast, you can go ahead and add some clarity. Clarity is actually kind of nice in a long exposure at night. Dehaze as well. Dehaze will darken the photo a little bit. And there you have it. We've successfully blended 3 images together in Photoshop of a lovely composite photo of Copacabana Beach from the balcony at the Rio Lancaster in Rio de Janeiro. Thanks for watching Loving It on Phuket. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and enable notifications so you'll know when the next video is posted. In the meantime, check out some of these other great videos from Phuket, Thailand, Southeast Asia, and beyond. Happy traveling!